Hi. Some games we play for the story, some for the thrill of competition. But there's a special category, isometric co-op adventures. In these games, every fight turns into a chaotic firework of effects. Every choice can spark an argument with friends, and every adventure becomes a collection of hilarious, vivid stories you'll be laughing about for weeks over a cup of tea or in a chat. Today, we've put together a list of the most spectacular and engaging isometric co-op games. This isn't just a rundown of popular titles. It's a collection of projects that bring people together, test friendships, and deliver those unforgettable emotions. I want to start with the Ascent. This game is a real treat for fans of cyberpunk and isometric shooters. The atmosphere of a grim megacity grabs you from the very first minutes. Neon-lit wet streets, crowds of people, holograms, and giant corporations controlling the world. The visuals are one of the strongest aspects here. With ray tracing on, it still looks like a tech demo even today. The gameplay combines intense shooting with a cover system and light RPG progression, letting you pick your own combat style. The story isn't too deep, but it serves as a great backdrop for fast shootouts, explosions, and gore. And it's especially fun in co-op. The game shines much brighter when played together. Torchlight III. This is the continuation of the popular action RPG series, set 100 years after the events of Part 2. Once again, you'll fight off the Netherim threat, explore colorful worlds, and grow your hero. The art style is light and cartoony, and the gameplay is familiar to fans of the genre. Tons of loot, skills, bosses, and pets that help in battle. New features include the relic system, essentially ultimate abilities, vital items that can be lost upon death, and your own fort, a base where you can build, store items, and upgrade characters across your account. You can play solo or in co-op, but the story and presentation aren't very impressive. It's more of an excuse to dive back into battles and progression. Titan Quest II. The sequel to the legendary action RPG that masterfully blends ancient Greek mythology with dynamic gameplay. The developers kept the spirit of the original but made it modern. Beautiful graphics, lively environments, the atmosphere of the ancient world, and epic battles with mythical creatures all look stunning. The main strength of the game is its flexible progression system. Multiple skill schools let you experiment and create unique builds. Combat feels more dynamic thanks to dashes and better animations. Exploring the world is exciting. It no longer feels linear, but instead full of secrets, hidden quests, and dangerous bosses. Co-op makes it even better. With friends, the adventure turns into a real journey. Darksiders Genesis. A prequel to the series that completely changes perspective. Now it's an isometric action game with RPG and platforming elements. For the first time in the franchise, you play as two horsemen of the apocalypse, war and strife. Their duo is the highlight of the game. Raw strength and melee combat on one side, speed and ranged attacks on the other. Their banter and contrasting styles make the gameplay incredibly varied. The action revolves around fast combat, huge bosses, and puzzles that require switching characters or working together in co-op. The upgrade system brings new moves and customization through cores, while the levels are packed with secrets and hidden paths, encouraging exploration. This isn't classic Darksiders, it's a unique take on the universe. Windblown. A very fast-paced roguelike from the creators of Fury and Haven, instantly grabbing you with its visuals and music. The soundtrack is pure adrenaline, keeping the tension high from start to finish. The locations are stylish and varied, islands connected by clever routes, full of secrets, with camera work that constantly surprises. This makes every run unique and highly replayable. The main strength of Windblown is its fast and flexible gameplay. The upgrade system lets you pick your own playstyle: crits, speed, endurance. It's all up to you. 2 weapon types, alternate attacks, and the ability to combine them on the fly turn every fight into a dynamic show. Co-op takes the experience even further. Synergy between weapons and tactics across players opens up brand new strategies. Path of Exile 2. a free-to-play action RPG that stands as a worthy successor to the genre. The second installment brings a new 6-act campaign, revamped combat, an overhauled skill system, and a darker atmosphere. The key difference from the first game is more thoughtful combat. Instead of screens overflowing with loot and endless mobs, the focus is now on dangerous enemies and tactical battles. Dodges have been added, and the new skill system makes progression smoother, with builds coming together logically instead of the old messy Link setup. The game looks better, boss fights are more impressive, and loot and balance feel closer to the classics. In co-op, Path of Exile 2 really shines. Playing through acts together, coordinating builds, and facing bosses as a team make the game far more engaging. The developers also actively listen to the community, fixing issues quickly, a huge plus for a game in early access. Helldivers, a unique co-op isometric shooter that remains a cult classic even years after release. The game mixes Starship Trooper-style satire with tactics, a dash of Magicka, and the chaos of Warhammer. You play as Earth soldiers, fighting on 3 fronts against bugs, cyborgs, and illuminates. The main weapon isn't just rifles and grenades, but stratagems, special battlefield calls ranging from ammo drops to mechs and even tactical nukes. To activate them, you need to punch and button combos, and in the middle of a firefight, it becomes a real test of speed and coordination. Co-op is the heart of the game. Full friendly fire, countless hilarious and tragic accidents, the constant need to adapt to each other, and properly distributing stratagems. All of this makes every mission one of a kind. UNDECEMBER, a Korean attempt to capture the magic of Diablo and Path of Exile. At first glance, everything's here. Flashy graphics, punchy combat, and the familiar isometric camera. Visually, it's impressive, locations and models look great, and the optimization keeps it running even on weaker PCs. But the gameplay lacks depth. The constellation-based skill system feels confusing and clunky, variety is limited, and abilities often boil down to just a couple of active skills. Combat quickly becomes repetitive, and the story is bland enough to skip without missing anything important. What saves the game is co-op and endgame content. Playing the campaign with friends is more fun, and the new biomes encourage pushing forward. Still, compared to genre leaders, UNDECEMBER feels more like a free co-op alternative than a real competitor. Sephiria, a fresh isometric roguelike with excellent co-op, already being called one of the best in the genre. The game impresses with its pace and satisfying combat, where build crafting is key. Different skill trees and weapons create completely different experiences. Experimenting with the skill tree is especially fun. At first, it's simple hack-and-slash swordplay, but over time it opens up into a true arena of builds. Visually, Sephiria feels like a mix of Soul Knight and Enter the Gungeon, but with more focus on character development and variety. Co-op is the project's crown jewel. Playing with friends is fun and seamless, even when the screen is full of chaos. Replayability is high, with each run feeling different, and new chapters and updates only add more possibilities. Vikings, Wolves of Midgard. An action RPG set in Norse mythology, where the focus isn't on deep storytelling but on intense combat. You play as fierce warriors battling monsters, gods, and hordes of enemies. The visual style is a highlight. Detailed locations, weapons, and armor, atmospheric music, and charismatic bosses make the game feel spectacular. The class system is tied to weapons. Each type unlocks unique active and passive abilities, while switching between 2 sets lets you change your combat style on the fly. Co-op is built for 2 players, and that's where the game shines brightest. Raiding through levels together turns into a whirlwind of action. There are downsides. Fixed maps without procedural generation, a limited set of skills, and some rough edges in the interface. But if you love Viking themes and want a dynamic isometric action game without unnecessary complexity, this one will give you plenty of fun, especially with a friend. Don't Starve Together, a hardcore co-op survival game where the world is literally designed to kill you. You can die from hunger, cold, monsters, giant bosses, or even your own mistakes. The atmosphere feels like a dark fairy tale with humor, blending charming hand-drawn art with truly creepy creatures. The main feature is infinite replayability. Every world is randomly generated, and the unique characters with their own abilities force you to try new strategies. The crafting system lets you build bases, farms, and contraptions, but fire, monsters, or the changing seasons can destroy everything in an instant. Co-op here is the essence of the experience. Dying is way more fun with friends. Someone might accidentally burn down the camp, another might drag a boss right into your base, and someone else will eat the last piece of food. Out of this chaos come the best memories. Grim Dawn, a dark isometric ARPG created by former members of the Titan Quest team. The world is consumed by war with otherworldly forces, and players must survive among the ruins of civilization, balancing between magic and 19th century weaponry. The atmosphere is a mix of post-apocalypse, dark fantasy, and steampunk. The key feature is the flexible class system. By choosing 2 masteries and combining them, you can create dozens of unique builds. The devotion system adds more depth with passive bonuses tied to star constellations. Loot plays a massive role here, and the grind is tough, but that's what makes it exciting. Gameplay revolves around farming and endgame content, finishing the campaign, tackling higher difficulties, and diving into the Crucible mode, where you fend off waves of enemies. In co-op, the game gets much more engaging. Farming together, builds synergy, and tackling especially tough bosses make it a true marathon. This isn't trying to compete with Diablo or Path of Exile, it's carving its own path, an old-school ARPG with soul, depth, and respect for its fans. Lost Ark, a Korean MMORPG that combines Diablo-style isometric action with a massive world, raids, and social mechanics. At the start, players get an engaging campaign and a well-crafted universe. Island quests, dungeons, sea events, guardians, and raids. Leveling to 50 is fast, and then the endgame opens up with dungeons, co-op bosses, and gradual gear progression. Progression is built around farming resources and upgrading gear. At some point, players hit a wall where you either play slowly, level alts for extra loot, or invest money. Still, even without spending, the game offers hundreds of hours of content, especially with friends. Team raids, PvP arenas, and large-scale events turn Lost Ark into a real co-op attraction. Children of Morta, an action RPG with roguelite elements where you control members of a family defending their home from ancient evil. Each hero is unique: warrior, mage, huntress, and more, but their progression is tied through shared family talents, encouraging you to play everyone. Dungeons are randomly generated, and every death doesn't reset progress but moves the story forward. This makes the game less punishing than traditional roguelikes. Co-op lets 2 players experience the adventure together, either locally or online, turning it into a heartfelt shared journey. If you're looking for a cozy yet challenging roguelite that's especially enjoyable to play in pairs during long evenings, this is an excellent choice. Magicka 2 keeps the series' main feature, manually combining elements to create spells, but adds more convenience and balance. Now you can either enter combos or use hotkeys with cooldowns. This leaves room for experimentation while also making the game more accessible. The gameplay is harder and faster. Enemies require real tactics. The game practically pushes you into co-op. It's easier to handle waves of enemies and pull off insane combos together. At the same time, random team kills and on-screen chaos are part of the game's charm. New staves, robes, inventory, and tons of Easter eggs with trademark humor have been added. Sure, the jokes aren't for everyone, but the main appeal is the fun chaos created by the players themselves. Magicka 2 is the perfect pick for a group of friends, where every battle turns into a circus of magical explosions and accidental deaths. Minecraft Dungeons, an attempt to bring the world of Minecraft into the arcade action RPG genre. There's no building or crafting here. Instead, You explore procedurally generated dungeons, fight hordes of monsters, and collect loot. The formula feels like a simplified Diablo. Weapons, armor, and artifacts let you build different playstyles. The campaign is straightforward, but expansions add new bosses, missions, and items. Replayability is boosted by the Tower of Trials and daily challenges, which give players reasons to come back. Visually, the game looks stylish. Familiar blocky locations built in Unreal Engine feel fresh and colorful, while spell and weapon effects make battles spectacular. With friends, dungeon crawling becomes a fun ride where everyone experiments with artifacts and helps the group take down bosses. Overall, it's a light, colorful dungeon crawler, perfect for co-op evenings. Last Epoch, a hardcore ARPG positioned as the golden middle ground between the complexity of Path of Exile and the accessibility of Diablo IV. Its main feature is the progression system. Each of the 5 base classes has 3 specializations, and skills level up independently, evolving into entirely new abilities as they progress. This allows for dozens of unique builds, combining skills, and even creating flashy combos. Crafting is also well designed. There's no blind RNG. Everything is predictable and resource-based. Legendary items are created by merging uniques with exalted gear, a great system for collectors. The setting makes it stand out from competitors. The story revolves around time travel, antiquity, the Middle Ages, post-apocalypse. Each era has its own atmosphere and enemies. The endgame offers arenas, dungeons, and the Monolith of Fate system, similar to Poe's maps but easier to grasp. Baldur's Gate 3. Not just another RPG, this is the triumphant return of the RPG genre. Larian Studios created a game that became the new gold standard of freedom and depth, inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. Its greatest strength is player freedom. Any problem has dozens of solutions. You can pick a lock, blow up a door, fly over it as an animal, or just find another path. Every action shapes the world. NPCs remember what you do, story branches shift, companions react to your choices. The story is massive and layered. Every companion is a fully fleshed out character with their own dramatic arc. The world is incredibly detailed. Even a random journal in a basement can tell a moving story. Atmosphere, storytelling, reactivity, everything is built with love for the player. Divinity, Original Sin 2. If Baldur's Gate 3 is the peak of modern RPGs, Original Sin 2 is its foundation. Larian Studios perfected the formula from the first game. Turn-based battles, crazy elemental combos, complete freedom in building characters, and an outstanding 4-player co-op. You can create your own hero or pick one of 6 preset characters, each with their own dramatic backstory and quests. The tag system in dialogues adds depth to roleplay, while the story constantly challenges you with moral dilemmas. Balance has been changed. Armor now protects not only from damage, but also from crowd control, making battles more tactical. The ability to respec at any time removes the fear of experimenting. And here, going for wild combinations is often better than following a guide. Nobody Saves the World. A bright, absurd, and very unusual hack and slash. Its main feature is the form system. The protagonist can transform into dozens of creatures: a knight, a mage, a horse, a zombie, an egg, even a snail. Each form is unique, and abilities can be mixed between them to create completely insane builds. Dungeons constantly throw in modifiers, forcing you to rebuild your setup and look for new strategies. The humor is light and sometimes absurd, while the hand-drawn art style and energetic soundtrack give the game a cartoonish, playful tone. There are downsides. Leveling forms can sometimes feel grindy. To progress through the story, you need to level up many forms by completing repetitive tasks. Over time, this can get tiring, but in co-op, the game truly shines. Experimenting with builds and causing chaos in dungeons together turns into a full-blown spectacle. All these games are different. Some throw you into intense battles and heavy grinding, while others deliver chaotic spell slinging and laughter until your sides hurt. But they all share one thing in common: they create moments you can't experience alone. Mistakes, victories, random discoveries, and hilarious failures all become stories you share with your friends. And it's for those stories that playing together is truly worth it. The Image Game Channel was with you. Have a nice day.